Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring in a special guest and a good friend of the show, Kevin King. We're going to do an in-depth today. So Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Danny. How's everything over in England?
Yes, it's good at the moment. Weather's been pretty good. Moving house pretty soon, but today is all about you, young man. So we're going to take it way back. So let's talk with regards to going back to like your childhood and stuff. I mean, from my understanding, you've never had like the traditional day job. Is that right?
Yeah, I've never worked for a corporation. I've had two jobs, two actually three. One of them I only did for a few days, but really two jobs where actually someone wrote me a paycheck where I had to actually fill out I don't even know what you call it, W-2, I guess
Yeah.
in the U.S. It's like
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
how much taxes are going to take out. I had two. I worked at my first job in high school was working at McDonald's,
Mhm.
and right after that I worked briefly in a deli, but not for very long, in a grocery store, cutting slicing ham and cutting cheese and things like that. And then I delivered pizzas for the first few years of college, and that's pretty much it. But and before that, I've been an entrepreneur. You know, I was the guy when I was 3 years old, going with my mom and buying one pence or one penny bubble gum and selling it to the neighborhood kids for 2 cents.
Yeah.
And back before there was an internet, we had something called magazines, and well, for those of you that are a little bit older, you know what I'm talking about. And you could advertise in the classifieds or something in the back of a magazine. I would advertise. I had a stamp business where I would stamps and coins, and so I would collect stamps and coins and advertise in the back of that. And I would mow yards. You know, I think when I was 10 years old, I was 10 or 11 years old. I had like 13 or 15 lawns that I was cutting the grass for. You know, like back then it was like $7. You know, people charge $30, $40 for that now, but $7. And I was making as a 11-year-old $100 a week. So I had video games did exist when I was a child. You know, this was back in the
Atari. Was you on
yeah, it
the
was
Atari?
little handheld Ataris and Pong, and so I was a cool kid that because I was able to afford little handheld video games, little Atari games and stuff like that. So all the kids would come to my house, and I was making so much money. You know, $100 a week for a 10 or 11-year old is a lot of money. Even back then, you know, that's like 200-300 bucks now. So my parents would make me save half of it. So they'd only give me half the money to spend, and the other half they put away. And it turns out that they gave that back to me when I was in college as an allowance. So when I was in college, they gave me they didn't want me working. They wanted me to focus on the studies, but I worked anyway. But they would give me what it was, $100 a week, and that was that money I earned as a child. I did everything from painting numbers on the street curbs. So there'd be some new neighborhood be built where I lived. I'd beg my parents to take me and drop me off at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. And I'd walk around with a bucket of paint and some stencils and go door to door and saying, "Hey, would you like me to paint your address, your numbers? You know, if you lived on 123 Main Street, I'd go and put the numbers 123 right on your curb in a bright color." I did that. I go pick up aluminum cans on the side of the road and take those in, you know, to get 20 cents a pound or whatever it was back then. So I was always trying to make money, no matter what I did. So been an entrepreneur my whole life.
So what was the drive behind that? Because there must have been a reckoning, a reasoning behind that. Like you jumped out we call them nappies, but your diapers, and you're off working, right? You know, you're out making money. Where did that come from? Your parents, were they entrepreneurial or?
No, not at all. My dad he worked for the government, super conservative, even to this day, super conservative, no risk. My mom is a little bit more of a risk taker, but no, neither one of them owned any businesses. My mom was a school teacher and worked for American Airlines for a while. So nobody in my family owned businesses. It wasn't like a grandfather or you know, an uncle or somebody had a business. You know what? I don't know where that actually comes from, where I got that. I was always a very independent person. Um, Maybe it was, you know, my dad was ex-military. Maybe it's because he was very strict, and that was my way of being rebellious and being able to have money to do what I want. I'm not sure where that comes from. It wasn't in my family at all.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like you said, normally there's a gene pool, there's a pattern, isn't there, to the
Yeah.
reasons whys and stuff. So even at that age, obviously you were good at mathematics and stuff. You're working out, I'm going to put some of this money away, or your parents were saying that, and you had the other half to spend. Were you frivolous with that kind of money that was left over? Was it like you was high rolling with your games and stuff with the other kids?
Yeah, I was pretty high rolling. And even when I was delivering pizzas, when I was 17, 18, my dad didn't like it because you're putting miles on your car, you're wear and tearing on the car, and I didn't care. And I worked at this pizza place, and it's called Mr. Jim's, and I grew up in the Dallas, Texas area. I live in Austin now, but I grew up in a suburb of North Dallas, and this place would pay the delivery drivers like a minimum wage. I think it was $3.35 an hour back then, and then you make your tips, and they give you I don't know what it was, 75 cents or something for every delivery you made to kind of cover the gas and wear and tear on the car. And I remember there would be 4 or 5 drivers on a Friday night, and I was so good, like you say, on the math, and I had the streets of the city almost memorized. I could look at the orders that were going out. Let's say 10 pies were coming out of the oven. I'd look and see where they're all going, and I could figure out in my head that, okay, if I take this one, take number 1, take number 4, take number 7, take number 9, take number 11, I can go on this one path on the road, and this one circle, or if I go here, I go there, go here, go here, and I could be back before one other guy delivers 1 pie. So I would be taking like 7 of the 10, and out there I was just crushing it, and I was doing so well that the owner even gave me $5 an hour, and he quit hiring people. So instead of having 5 people, he just have 2 drivers, me and somebody else, because I figured out how to game the system,
Yeah.
and how to maximize it. So I was making some nights, with tips and everything. I knew every little trick in the book. I'd pick up the newspaper. As you're walking up with a pizza and the newspaper sitting on the driveway, you pick it up and give it to them. Or if a little kid comes to the door to give you, he's got a 20 in his hand to pay for the pizzas because the parents were watching TV, I wouldn't accept the money from the kid. I would ask them to go get their parents, because the kid doesn't know to tip you. So I would be like, I have to give, these are hot, I can't let you touch them. And then, when you tip, if the price is, when you give change, if the price is $13, $13.20, and they give you a 20, you don't give a 5 and a 1 and some change back. You give 6 ones, because it's psychology. When someone has 6 $1 bills in their hands, they're probably going to give you 2 of them, versus otherwise they're just going to keep the 5 and give you the 1. So I had every little trick in the book, and I was making $200, $300, $400 a night, just driving pizzas,
Yeah. So even back then, like, how did that work in terms of relationship with like the other kids around you? Because that's like kind of independent thinking there. You're more of a maverick. You're futuristic in terms of where you've seen things are landing. It's very mature for that age. How was that, with your friends? Did you have other friends who were like that, who drove you along, or were you very much an individual?
No, I had some good friends, but they weren't that way, and sometimes when I was working with people, at the pizza place, it'd piss some people off, because they're like, why is Kevin getting all the stuff and making all the money? And it's like, well, you got to work for it. You work for it, you do it right, you can make the money too. And some people that rubbed them a little bit wrong. But as friends wise, no, I didn't have any other entrepreneurial friends back then. I have a lot more entrepreneurial friends now in this Amazon space. People that kind of understand the same thinking, or that are hustlers or whatever, than I've ever had in any business ever.
Yeah. So did you find it also, you obviously you have the guys in the pizza parlors and stuff there, they can't kind of keep up with you. Did you get frustrated with others? Because some people, for a better word of it, I think if you look at people like Steve Jobs and stuff, when he was younger, you would get very frustrated with people because he was so quick off the mark with stuff. He was waiting for the world and other people around him to catch up. Did you have that problem as well? It's like the people around you they didn't tick. They couldn't keep with your pace.
Yeah, I did. It did bother me sometimes. I see a lot of people as lazy or unproductive. I'm always looking for ways to improve the system or do stuff more efficiently. And it carries over to what I do today. I do 7 figures on Amazon. I've got 6 businesses that I'm involved in right now. That 6 sources of revenue. Some people with their Amazon business is their only source of revenue. I've got Amazon, my Amazon business. I have a separate Amazon business with some partners that it's kind of off the radar. It does really well. That I don't publicly talk about a lot. I've got, the 2 trainings that I do with Helium 10, the Freedom Ticket and the Helium 10 Elite, the $1 Billion Seller Summit. And then I have a calendar business, and then I do this thing with the Kevin and Steve thing, and all of those are 6 or 7 figure businesses.
Yeah.
And people say, how do you do that with no VAs? How do you do that with no employees? It goes back same kind of thing I did with pizzas. I see the roadmap and how to work smart. I do work hard, but I work smart first, and I partner with people where I see the patterns, and I try to maximize those and beat that. And so it goes all the way back to, when I was in college, I was I had so much money. Well, another thing I did in college is there was a class called BANA 217. I went to Texas A&M University, which is not about an hour and a half outside of Austin. It's a big school, 50,000 students. It's big rivals with the University of Texas, which is in Austin. It's very, very good school. I graduated a degree in business there, but while I was in school, I delivered pizzas a little bit the first semester or so, but after that, there was this class called BANA 217. BANA stand for Business Analysis 217. Every sophomore student, this was in the 80s, late 80s, had to take this class if you're a business major. There's about 1,000 kids or so that were sophomores every year had to take this class, and taught you the basic computing language. So not the stuff that we use today, but basic, the language called BASIC. And it was a kind of a weed out class, and a lot of people just couldn't understand the logic of how do you code or how do you do BASIC. Well, it turns out back in I think it was about when I was in the 9th grade, so would that have been like 14 or 15 years old, something like that. The summer between the 9th and 10th grade, because I had money, I bought one of the very first, it was actually made by Xerox, the copying company. It was basically like a computer, a desktop computer, and you had little floppy drives, and this thing cost like a fortune, like $5,000. But I taught myself how to code. I made some little games and stuff, like little Dungeons and Dragons games. And so when this class came along, this was like a natural to me. I knew how to do the basic language. People were having trouble. So what I did is I started tutoring. I put up little signs around campus, tear off this little number and call me, for $5 an hour. I'll tutor you. Well, it started to grow. People were tearing off these numbers, and I had like 10 students. Next thing I know, I have like 20. And so I can't do these one-on-ones. So I started renting out a room in the library for free. And I have 10 people in there, and I teach them how to do this, the stuff that their instructors weren't teaching them in a way that they could understand. And then that evolved into before each test, they had 3 tests per semester. And just coincidentally, all the professors, or like 3 or 4 professors, they would do the test on the same day. And it was like a departmentalized kind of test. And so at the beginning of the semester, I'd find out when those tests were. I would then go to the registrar's office, and under the Sunshine Act in Texas, I could actually get a mailing list of every kid taking that class. So I'd go in there and say, I want to know every kid taking BANA 217. I want their address. Here's my $30. And they would give them to me on labels, like little address labels with the kid's address. I would go down to the local print shop, have a flyer made, and say, come to the College Station Hilton on this day, like the night before the test. If it's on test is on September 30th, say come on September 29th, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to pass the test. And I was getting 500 people at $15 a head. Half the people taking this class would come to these things. So I was making really good money doing that. And so because I was living with 3 other guys, 4 of us in an apartment, and we loved in college, it's almost like Animal House. We love to party. So I went and took a bartending class, and I learned how to bartend. But when you learn how to bartend, you learn because with fake, you have the real bottle of rum, the real bottle of tequila, but inside is just water, colored water. And so I was like, to heck with this. I want to know what these drinks taste like. So I went out, bought a bar, put it in the apartment, like one of these big portable bars, put it in the apartment, went and bought $1,000 worth of liquor. And of course, now we became the popular place, for all the college kids to come to, because Kevin's place, we have a full bar. I was like, at first it was kind of cool, but then everybody started coming. I was like, look, I don't want to pay the bill for, sponsor every single party. So I had a little Apple II computer, and my mom had given me, and I coded a little bartending program on there. I had all the recipes and had a way to keep tabs. So every time someone come in, You know, I want a Hurricane, I want a rum and Coke, I want whatever. I'm like, okay, I put it on their tab. And it was basically at cost, but that way I wasn't footing the bill. And I developed that program, and I then developed that program into something that I was like, I could sell this. So I put it advertised in the back of computer magazines like Computer World, and you know, get this bartending program for $39 on floppy disk. And so I developed this whole program, and then I was using the the school's computer lab to make my manuals. And I was printing out little, you know, how to instruction manuals and stuff, and using their laser printers, and printing out, you know, 100 manuals, 200 manuals on the school's laser printers. And I got in trouble for that. I got actually called to the dean's office and said, "Hey, no doing this stuff anymore." So, you know, I've always been entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So is that, was with the software there, was that your first business per se? Obviously you've done the pizza parlor, you've done other bits and pieces, you've done Bob a Job in the area, curb painting, all those kind of stuff. Was that your first foray into entrepreneurship and starting your own business?
Well, I mean, that one I didn't really even form a company. You know, it
Right.
wasn't. I would say that would not be the first time I officially
Yeah.
formed a company. And even with the teaching stuff, you know, it was just checks were made out to Kevin King. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't
So
made out to a company.
there was a series of hustles that are leading to you building your first business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your very first business? What was the type of,
Well, the very first official business where, you know, you're incorporated and have the whole nine yards, and you're doing it properly, was actually selling trading cards, baseball cards.
okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Talk
but
to me a bit
with
more about that. Cause I mean, that's getting a bit of a more popular now. I know that Gary Vee and people talk about this even to this day. Do you want to just go into it?
Sure, back in the this was early. So I graduated 1990 from college, and so then my dad wanted me to get a job and use my degree, and I didn't. I moved from College Station to Austin, lived on slept on a buddy's couch for about a year, and we sold T-shirts. We actually went out and sold on the University of Texas campus. Their football team, American football team, happened to be doing good that semester, so that's right around the time that MC Hammer came out with a song, "You Can't Touch This."
Yeah. You can't touch this.
And so what we did is we made a shirt that said "You can't" on one line, "Touch this" on the next line, and the words the U and the T.
Mm-hmm.
It's the University of Texas. It's University UT. So we put that in a different color. A buddy of mine was studying engineering at UT, so we were able to get permission if we donated a certain amount of the shirt sales to the engineering some club or something that he was in, we could actually set up on campus and set up these tables at strategic places around the University of Texas campus and sell these shirts. And we would do that, and it grew big. During a game day, a college football game on a Saturday, we would have a table there, and we would strategically put it at all these different places around the stadium, outside the stadium. We couldn't go inside the stadium. And two of the guys that were doing this with me were engineers. And so if you're sitting at a little, you know, fold out table and you got a crowd of people, 50,000 people walking into a stadium, they can't see you. You know, all they see is a few people huddled around you. So they built these catapult systems that would completely collapse down flat, but we could raise them up, and they would hang shirts at the top so it's above the crowd. So as you're walking, you know, 200 meters, 600 feet away, you see these shirts hanging up there that have these slogans on them. And we would do on a game day $30,000 to $50,000 selling T-shirts, and then that evolved. So that whole semester evolved, and then from that, it was cool. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to go work for somebody. So during the spring, when there's no football, we would go and hit all the spring break locations, all the beach bars around the southern United States, from Texas to Florida. I just pack up in the station wagon, and we go sell T-shirts to the stores. And then we also did something. We had a Calvin and Hobbes. A buddy of mine knew some guy that's up in the East Coast of the U.S. selling Calvin and Hobbes T-shirts and Simpsons T-shirts. This is right when the Simpsons just came out, and he didn't have licenses. These were totally illegal T-shirts. And so we actually went and were selling these T-shirts, and we would go, me and my buddy, we'd just pack them in the back of a car. We'd drive from campus to campus across the southern U.S., get a cheap motel, stay there for like 3 days, go flyer all the dormitories with a flyer. I had a little 1-800, we got a 1-800 number. Someone would call that, we'd say, we have these shirts for sale. You know, they had cool little slogans, and they're funny. And they would call that 800 number. And a buddy of ours back in Texas would say, yeah, do you want it? And he'd take their credit card, and then we would go deliver it. like he would say, okay, today we got to go this dorm, this dorm, this dorm, this dorm. And so I did that. I also did care packages for college students where I would get
So
these
what age group is this? So sorry, because I want to keep a timeline as we get up
Sure.
to your Anderson.
Still, this is right after college.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So I'm like 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was doing, I came out with to do care packages for college students. So students are studying for their finals. And so I would get the mailing list of because my background is direct mail. So I would get the mailing list of all the parents of the students at different universities in Texas. And we would send out a flyer to them saying, hey, take care of little Johnny or little Susie. It's a stressful time for them. They're studying for their finals. Why don't you send them a package, a care package that you care? And we had one that was healthy, and we would literally go down to like Sam's Wholesale Club or Costco or one of these big wholesale clubs and buy the stuff and assemble it. And another one was a cookie, and it's like a cookie in the shape of a heart, a big cookie, a chocolate chip cookie. And a buddy of mine worked at a pizza place, and we would go there and cook them, all hours of the nights, and cook these cookies and take them to them. And so I mean, we did that kind of stuff, and then that evolved. And my first true business came through that was incorporated. It's called the College Lifestyle Company, and I developed a catalog. And this catalog was it was 16 pages, small catalog, but in there I was going to all the trade fairs in the US. I was 22, 23 years old. My mom worked for American Airlines, so I could fly for free. So I would fly up to Chicago, fly out to Atlanta to all these different trade shows. And I would look for products that were geared towards the college market. So college kids would buy. It could be t-shirts, it could be little basketball hoops that you're going to play games. Could be beer types of games.
Like that, or?
No textbooks. Okay. Just dorm decoration.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Fun type of stuff. And I put together a whole collection of 30 products. Bought them wholesale. Brought them in. We rented the apartment below us. We had an upstairs apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. Below us was a 2-bedroom apartment that was empty. We rented that from the landlord. That became our office. One bedroom was the phone bank center with 3 people answering the phone, 800 number. The other bedroom was the warehouse, and then the living room was the shipping area. And so we would send. I would get mailing lists, rent mailing lists from schools or from these agencies, and we would send out tens of thousands of these catalogs, and people would call up and order. Give me, or so they would mail the order in. We had a whole employee manual. I developed like a 80-page employee manual, and that was a proper business with taxes taken out and set up properly. That was my first true business. That one didn't quite succeed. I was undercapitalized. That was my I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and so I was unable to get investment at the time to continue that. So then that evolved into this baseball card business, but this wasn't baseball cards of sports. It was baseball cards with pretty girls. Right. And so back in the early 90s, there was a trend to put pretty girls, everything from Sports Illustrated models to Playboy Playmates to local strip club girls to whatever it was on trading cards. And there became a big business of people that would buy those. And it was a hot collectible. It's right around the time the internet was just coming out. I think it was CompuServe and AOL Online. So I remember going on AOL and they had
97, 98 are we talking?
This is like 92, 93.
Oh, right. 94. Okay. Way earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. 92, 93, 94, somewhere in there. And so I would go on, and there was bulletin board systems for like, where all the dealers from all the comic book shops and all the baseball card shops around the U.S. You could go in there and you say, I have a case of these or a case of that. And we were doing trades, and that became big business. That lasted, we did licensing. But the way I saw that is, there's about 20 different companies doing this. And I was like, how can I can average, even a whole magazine came out called ACCQ, I think it was called, Adult Card Collector Quarterly. That had a whole like printed magazine just about this, just like a Beckett's or something would exist now for regular baseball cards. We would advertise in there. We were voted the best company because of our customer service and all kinds of stuff, like 3 years in a row. But I wanted to grow the business, and so I would go out, and all these other guys, they had these inserts, what we call package inserts these days. And it would be like registration cards. This is before the internet. So people would get a card in there and say, fill out your name and address and send this in to register with us. Well, I would call these guys up. What are you doing with your registration cards? They're just sitting in a shoebox over here. I was like, send them to me. I'll type them in and I'll send you back on a disk all these names. Just give me the right to use them. And I got almost everybody to do it. So instantly I had a huge mailing list of people that are buying this kind of stuff so I could cross sell. So then that evolved into not only me selling mine, but I started wholesaling, buying wholesale from these guys, all these other guys, and I created a whole catalog, like a one-stop mail order shop. There's no internet site. This is before the internet. And I would mail that out. And we had a huge warehouse with tons of inventory. I had two full-time shipping guys. Another guy, all he did was sort stuff. Two people answering the phones to take orders and process the mail orders that people had mailed in, checks and money orders. And then that evolved into I was like, how can we extend this? So we extended it into calendars and started doing like wall calendars.
I mean, you're doing calendars still today, aren't you, in some shape or form?
Yeah, the calendar business, the trading card thing was more of a fad. It disappeared after 3 or 4 years. And then, but the calendars still exist today.
Yeah.
And so it's a very good regular, like a recurring income.
Is it a seasonal business, what you do with the calendars, or like is
Yeah,
it specific times of year when January is when people buy? Is it, or December?
No, it's November and December.
Right.
January is it's selling calendars is like selling milk.
Yeah.
It's not like if you have trading cards or a book or an Amazon product, if you don't sell it now, okay, you can probably sell it later, but calendars are dated. And pretty much the day after, on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, calendars go half price almost everywhere. So they lose their value even before the year starts for the most part. Now with the calendars we do, because there's a collector mentality, we can hold the value a little bit longer, but you pretty much have a window. We start selling in October and it's done by early January usually.
Yeah.
So the calendar business, I've been doing that since '95. That's why this Amazon business is perfect for me, because I've been importing. We print the calendars in Korea. Used to print in Hong Kong, but now we print in South Korea. Landed cost is about $1.50, and we sell them for $20, and we charge $10 shipping, and it only costs us $3 to ship it. So you can see the margins there are ridiculous. And then we wholesale those out to some, like calendars.com, which is the biggest calendar store in the world. They have all the kiosks in the malls. We sell on Amazon. We sell in some other places. And then direct. And so some we manufacture with those margins. And then because I have the audience, I also go out to everybody else that makes those type of calendars. From Europe, we bring in a lot from the UK. All the big UK celebrities and the Page 3 girls and all that kind of stuff. We bring in from Australia, from Eastern Europe. And so we have 140 or so different ones. And I sell those, I buy those wholesale. And then, so my cost is now $1.52, it's more of a 50% margin or something on those, but it's free money. And so we have guys that buy every year. About half the orders still come by mail. So they still come checks and money orders. I don't take any phone orders. I have no phone stuff anymore. So it's either go to the internet website or send in a check or money order. About half of them come by check or money order in the mail. And it's kind of scary every year. We'll send out we send out a catalog and we send that out, and the post office sometimes will return some, say this one's undeliverable. Usually marked the reason why the guy moved or whatever, but sometimes it says deceased. It's a little scary. This is a guy, you recognize the name because he's been ordering for us for 20 years. Like, oh man, Sam just died. That sucks, man. You almost like, even though you never met these people, you feel like you know them.
Yeah.
Because you've been doing business with them for so long. And so the average order, you think, okay, calendars, someone's ordering a calendar to hang in the garage or hang out in the tool shed or at the office or whatever. No, our average order is 5 calendars, $100.
Right.
And a lot of these guys are collectors. We have some people, I have 3 customers in particular that every year order more than $2,000 worth of calendars. And they're not reselling them. They're just collectors. And somebody that order 2 of each calendar, 1 to open up and 1 to keep in the shrink wrap. And so it's a whole different mentality. It's almost all men, some women, but almost all men. And it's a very good, lucrative, easy business. It's like on autopilot now.
So with that, like, sorry to butt in there, with that, because you've done a whole lot in the 90s, you've got to the calendar company. Was there anything before Amazon, or is there a long stretch where you just focused on the calendar company? And
well,
then
Yeah, the calendar company evolved. I mean, it started in 94, 95, and still goes today.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, the trading card side is off, but the calendar company evolved in the mid 90s into, because we're shooting at a partner. I have a partner in this business who's a photographer, and we were shooting shooting different girls and shooting all kinds of stuff. So we had this content, and so we started creating some DVDs. You know, this is not pornographic stuff. Just to be clear, this is not
Yeah.
pornographic. I mean, some religious people might consider anything with a pretty girl pornographic, but it's not
Yeah.
pornographic.
We're talking like Playboy
Page
or something like that.
Playboy, page 3 type, yeah. And so,
I'll read them, Mum. Sorry. Yeah, cool.
yes. So we started doing like a video, you know, just like behind the scenes video, you know, of it, kind of like a sports, making of a sports. If you ever seen a making of a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue or something, kind of like that. And we started doing DVDs and had a DVD club, and and that evolved into, we had someone reach out to us that was an agent for pay-per-view television. And so not the adult channels, but like the channels that would show boxing or wrestling. And so when they didn't have boxing or wrestling going on, they need to fill the airways. So they filled the airways with bikini shows. In the beginning, it was just strictly, you know, bikini contests and stuff. And we had some of that type of stuff. So we started doing that. And this was on DirecTV and Dish Network. And they had relationships with all the big TV providers in the US and some in Europe. And so we could put out send them a show, and it would, you know, they charge $10 for it or something, and we were getting 30% of that. And so in the beginning, 35% actually in the beginning. It evolved. Now it's like, we don't do it anymore, but it's now, because that market's kind of died, it's like 10%. But we were getting, you know, $100,000 a month off of some of these shows as our commission. And so we were able to evolve into that. So we were traveling the world, producing all this kind of stuff and producing calendars, and had a website around it. And ended up doing print magazines, like coffee table books, like hardcover books, like really, really nice. You know, some of these were like just like a Victoria's Secret lingerie type of thing. Nice enough where we had a lot of women that would look at them and go, I want to buy that outfit or that outfit. It wasn't just horny guys, you know, looking at it. So we did that for a long time, until basically YouTube was the start of the end of that. Because
so we're now jumping from the 90s, 2005-ish, yeah? 2004.
Yeah, we did this for a long time. We did a model search, you know, all over the world, $1 million model search. We had HDNet, Mark Cuban's company, approach us to create content when HD started coming out. We ended up doing all kinds of crazy deals. It was good. And at the same time, it was generating good money. I had a big office with 16 people, 3 full-time video editors, 2 assistant editors. You know, it was a big production. And our shooting was not cheap. We were doing huge budget shoots and video productions all over the world. And so then when YouTube came out, after YouTube, then a lot of these other websites started coming out and just basically giving stuff away for free. And that kind of killed why would someone pay $10 to watch something online? Off of DirecTV, when they could basically see similar or the same thing for free, you know, on the web.
May I ask you? Yeah, sorry, because like this is about learning moments as well. With that kind of disruption, that kind of change, you've had since a child, you've had a good run. You've had lots of mini home runs, if you like. Do you see what I mean? Because there's like, I know from my career and other people that I've interviewed, you had them darkest hours just before dawn and stuff like that. So with this business, with the disruption of YouTube, what kind of impact did that have on you and your business with like 16 staff at that time?
Well, we had to adjust. And so 98, we had 16 staff. By 2005, when YouTube first came out, we had 16 staff. By 2010, we were down to like 4. Now, to back up one step, when we were doing the building the trading card business, you're talking about, it hasn't always been fun and giggles. And when we were building the trading card business, I also had a big staff. And when we expanded into other products, we had a full-blown catalog that we were sending out, like a 64-page catalog printed, and we were it was really good, but we were completely self-funded, no outside investment. I didn't come into this with here's $100,000. My partner didn't have that. We were generating cash flow from within. And one of the things that we were having to do is we had a bunch of employees. I forget, maybe back then it was like 10. When we would, on their paychecks, when we would pay them, let's say they made $1,000 for the 2 weeks, we take taxes out to pay the U.S. government. And maybe the taxes were, I don't know, out of that $1,000 or $200. And we're supposed to remit that to the U.S. government. We didn't remit that to the U.S. government. We actually kept that for cash flow and kept that to grow. And after about a year and a half, that caught up to us. And we got a big knock at the door from a bunch of government agents saying, hey, you owe us a bunch of money because you got employees that are filing tax returns saying that this is how much they paid in taxes and the books don't add up. We haven't received this money from you. This is the worst of the worst. I didn't know this at the time, but this is the worst of the worst. You're basically stealing.
Right.
Because it's not just not avoiding taxes, which is a bad thing, when you try to avoid taxes or tax evasion. This is actually straight up stealing. And so we had to pay a bunch of money, and we got out. Nobody went to jail or nothing happened, but as a result of that, it kind of hurt us. So I actually had to declare bankruptcy. So in 1998, because the business was mostly in my name, sole proprietorship was an LLC, I declared bankruptcy, and then we just started, declared bankruptcy one day and sold the assets of that company for $1 to a new company and started up a whole new company the next day. And built it back up. But I did go through a personal bankruptcy. And so for 10 years, that stays on your record in the US for 10 years, that affected me. I couldn't buy a house. I couldn't do a lot of things. And I was having to pay off a lot of back taxes. So it wasn't all roses and honey.
But that's it. I mean, the journey isn't, most people isn't, like, people don't see, like, I thought with yourself, like your hit ratio is far superior to a lot of people, but that learning moment there, you couldn't buy a property for 10 years and stuff. What other things did you learn in that moment? Because obviously it's made you the better at what you do today, Well,
that's one of the things is I'm very careful. Like I'm very lean, because I had a lot of employees. And when something like that happens, both that and when the YouTube, when YouTube basically is a disruptor and a few years later, that's changing your business. You got 16 people working for you. That's, if they're married and got kids, that could be 32 or 50 mouths that you're feeding. And they're depending 100% on you. I remember even at one point, just to cash flow, our paydays were, I think on a Tuesday. And we would always pay like every other Tuesday for whatever reason. We would pay at 4:00 on Tuesday that checks were distributed. I remember sometimes I would actually deliberately not be in the office at 4:00 on a Tuesday, be out running some errands to come back at like 5:30, just so that I could give the employees the check so that they could not take it to the bank and cash it that day, just to buy an extra day afloat. I also was doing something, I had a guy that owned a check cashing business, and I didn't have any outside investors. And so sometimes we get in trouble on cash flow. So I could go write him I would play the float. So I could go write him a 9,000, stay right underneath the government limits of $10,000. I could write him a $9,900 check, and he would give me cash. I would take that cash, put it to the bank or to pay bills or pay payroll or whatever. He would hold the check for a day, then deposit it. And then back then it was about a 2 or 3 day float. If you did this on a Thursday, you got the whole weekend. So you got extra mail orders coming in, extra people on the phone. I had to get creative gaming the system.
Yeah.
And at one point that it's almost like a Ponzi scheme in a way. At one point that came crashing down, and I had to build out of that. So that's the thing that's the learning thing is like, look, you hear people even on this Amazon business that have grown it, but they're not talking about the pains that they've had to go through in the background. I mean, you did a really good job. You had a recent podcast on seller sessions that I really think every freaking person should listen to. There's a buddy of yours who I forget his name. He's trying to get to 250 million bucks. I think the title, it's like something, how to grow your business 250 million or something.
Yeah. Ash Simpson, he's at 24, do 40 next year, but his goal is to reach 250.
But I thought you did an excellent job that I've never heard anybody. I've actually commented I think I mentioned this to Manny and a few other people, that you did an excellent job because the guys, like, you question, I don't remember the specific details, so correct me if I'm wrong. Like, how much money did you start with? And I think he said something like $5,000 or something like that. And you're like, so how did you go from 5,000 to 24 million?
Yeah.
No one ever asked that question. They're always like, "Oh, you start with 5,000." So people hear that and they're like, "Oh, I can start with 5,000 too." But the next thing out of his mouth is like, "Yeah, that's what we started with." But I had a buddy that had 30 grand,
Yeah.
and, so we had 35,000, and we were able to grow that to whatever he said, something like $100,000. But we had to do this, and I didn't take any money, and we got to $100,000.
He lived off 10,000 for the year at that
Yeah,
period of time. He then had investors in each individual product. So it's almost like, I don't know, a portfolio, like a cash portfolio. So, well, if you invest in this one, you can choose which product you want to go, and here's your return. So he never gave
yeah.
up any equity. In the end, they got it to the stage where he'd done partnership with a factory and stuff. I think they're putting about $1 million in total from day one to now, and they turn over 24 million.
Which is about what it takes, and no one ever talks about that. And I mean, I commend you for pushing that, and him for sharing that, because that's very, very important in this business, that no one ever talks about that, and that needs to be told. People always make it sound like you could start with nothing and grow to this, and it's bullshit.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
most people don't tell that story. They would answer the question, "Hey, I started with 5,000. Oh wow, and now you're going to do 24 million this year. That's incredible. That's awesome, man. Congratulations." And they leave it at that. And they don't tell, and he said a few other things where, some struggles he had, and some
I
other
was
stuff in
actually
there.
quite surprised how graphic he was, talking through every step, every bit of income that came in that led up to that 1 million. He's very graphic in how he structured deals and stuff, if people want to go back and listen.
Yeah, no, you should, everybody listening to this, if you have not listened to that episode, it's about an hour long or so, go back and listen to it. It's a very good educational uh, episode on how this really works and the pains behind this. Not to say that there are some people that start low and they have a winning lottery ticket and they just right place, right time. But those are few, very few and far between.
Not many. Let's say Brock Johnson's. He done very well. He was very clever of how he leveraged stuff to get the sales that he did on the Eclipse sunglasses. It was a constant leverage to get up. I mean,
well, my question is, can he repeat that? So that's great for him. I mean, congratulations to him. That's awesome that he's able to do that. But I don't know. I think he's actually tried with something else. It's very difficult to repeat that. You have people that started this business 2012, 2013, got in at the right time when it was much easier. And there's some people in this space that have courses and that are considered thought leaders. I'm not going to name any names, but some people that one of them I don't respect at all, that is telling people what to do. And I'm like, dude, you have no freaking clue. You were right place, right time. You made a lot of money. Congratulations, but you don't know shit. Yeah. And so there's a lot of that. You just got to be careful. But back on the story, that
sorry, go on.
It's yeah. So it's the lessons are, that's why I won't expand. That's why I've changed the way I work and partner with people rather than me going out and hiring a bunch of people. Why don't I partner with someone like Manny and Guy at Helium 10, and I could go out and do take the course, for example. I could go out and do my own course, and I could go out and hustle up affiliates. I could have an affiliate manager. I could have an office girl, a customer service agent doing that. But why should I do that? Why not just go to them? They already got that in place. Let them do that. Let them use their traffic. Let them use their customer service people. We split the revenues, and we both win. Yeah. And I save hiring people and having all those headaches and stuff. Yeah. The same thing with the calendar business. I don't have an office, for that. I do that out of either a storage unit or sometimes it's even out of my garage. I hire a temporary worker. Usually it's a friend, or last 2 years it's been a cousin of my wife. It comes up and helps us work for like 3 months. And we just jam through it. So that's working smart and keeping costs down. Yeah. And having a good return. And the same thing with Kevin and Steve. Why should I go out and try to do all this stuff that let Steve, he's a master. He's got the people in place. Let me do what I do best, and we both win, rather than having all these employees and all this overhead and all this stuff. And so that's what's changed me the most. And it's taught me, in the beginning, it's all about, I wanted to make money, make as much money as I could. Mm-hmm. But now it's not. It's more of a lifestyle thing. I was lucky in 2007, because we were traveling, shooting all these models and all this stuff all over the world for the calendar business and the TV shows. I enjoyed that. It's almost like every guy's dream to go to some Caribbean island with a bunch of half-naked girls, for a week and hang out with them and be on the set watching the photo shoots and all that stuff. I was more of a producer. I wasn't a camera guy, but I was a producer. And sometimes I would do a little bit of video or something behind the scenes, pick up the camera. But that was work. So we would go in and, you know, a month before we were going, if we were going to St. Lucia to do photo shoots, we would go a month before, do a week-long scout where me and the photographer are literally going everywhere with a local television guy showing us all the nice houses, the nice beaches, the nice whatever. So we were like, okay, this is what we need to do. We go back, develop the costumes, develop the whatever, and then we come back, you know, a month later with the models, and it was work. You know, it's fun, but it's work. And I was like, this is kind of cool. I would like, there's places, so we would sometimes choose places that we wanted to go. We're like, where's a cool place we want to go? Oh, we want to go to Prague. So we said, okay, let's do a photo shoot in Prague. And so we actually took 5 models to Prague, and in 2004, 2005, did a big photo shoot and big production in Prague, shooting on the escalators of the metros, and shooting at train stations, and shooting at all kinds of really, at the military base with all the fighter jets and the Jeeps and all kinds of really cool stuff. And it was fun, but there's places I wanted to go that just didn't make sense to actually go there and shoot, or it was too costly. So I was like, you know what? In 2007, I'm going to travel for the next year. So I set up the company to where I could be in Austin for 2 weeks, and I could be on the road for 2 weeks. And I made a list for a year. I want to go to Bali. I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Morocco. I want to go to, you know, to Antarctica. All these places, and I'm going by myself, or in some cases, friends or family could get off their job or whatever, and they could go with me. So it was a mix. And so for that 1 year, I literally, for 2 weeks out of the year, I was traveling. I wasn't backpacking. But I wasn't staying in the Four Seasons, but I was staying nice. But I had the company set up to where it was running, and we were making enough money that I could do that. I didn't have a wife, didn't have a dog, didn't have any obligations really. That 1 year turned into 7, because the more I traveled, the more I was like, you know, there's a big world out there that it's just the best education you get. And that's probably spent $500,000 or more traveling. And people at the time were like, Kevin, you're crazy. You know, you should be investing that money. Or at one point, you know, at that point, I still had that bankruptcy. So I couldn't invest it. I couldn't do certain things. I had a tax lien on me that from the bankruptcy that I had to wait out. I was able to actually get out of it legally. But I had to wait my time. So I had a really good lawyer that showed me what to do. So I couldn't like show a lot of assets or whatever. So I was traveling, and that's the best education I've ever gotten. I mean, I've been to a total in my lifetime of 92 countries in all 7 continents. It's nothing better. I understand cultures, I understand people, and I did it at an age, you know, my early 40s, that I could still able to move around. You know, a lot of people, they do it when they retire, when they're in their 60s or 70s. You might not be able to walk up the Great Wall of China. You might not be able to do some of the things that I did. And so that was a very eye-opening and educational, and it changed my whole perspective on the world and on business and on people. It eliminated a lot of any prejudices I might have had or anything like that. And so that's different. You know, a lot of people are trying to quit the corporate job, doing this Amazon because they want to travel, they want that. But the thing I value most about all the businesses that I've ever done is the freedom. And so since college on, I've had the freedom to do what I want to do. Because I'm my own boss. And if I want to organize the business in such a way and structure it a little bit differently so that I can do what I want to do, I can do that. And that's what I value. And so it's making enough. It's not about, I don't have a Lamborghini. I don't have a fancy car. I don't have a nice boat. I got nice stuff in my house, but I spend my money on experiences. I'm not afraid to go spend a couple $1,000s on a meal. Or I'm not afraid to go spend some money to stay in a hut in Bora Bora over the water with fish swimming underneath the bed at night. That to me are things I'll never forget. And that's what I want in this business. It's not to make $100 million and have a flashy car. It's to have the money to do what the heck I want. And to be, and that's my focus then and now.
So that's almost like that whole traditional lifestyle business, but obviously with a lot more finance wrapped around it, in the sense that you want to have decent money, you know, because people can have a lifestyle business, which is, you know, it's low income, they enjoy what they do and they live a very simplified life. But you want a lifestyle business where you've got that reduced stress, not loads of people around you, but still had the funds to not look at your bank account and to do whatever you want when you want. If you want to get in a chopper, you want to get on a plane without restriction. If you want to take first class or business class without restriction, that's what your end goals are, is to buy experiences.
That's true. Now, one of my weaknesses is probably because I've always been able to make money. I remember there's a friend of mine, I went to Colombia. My wife is from Colombia, and we were dating long distance for a while. And I went down there and spent like 3 weeks back in 2011, taking Spanish lessons and salsa lessons and stuff like that. And I had a private chef that would come and cook for me once a week. So I was like, hey, why don't you come on down and meet my girl and cook for us, cook a nice meal or something for us, and you can cook for me. And so he's like, sure, if you're paying, I'll come. So I brought him down. And one day we were going out snorkeling. And I was like, hold on a second, I need to make a little bit of money before we go out. He still tells this story today. And he's like, how are you going to make money? You're sitting here in Colombia. I said, I'm going to send out an email. I got to draft this email. And one of the things that we did is we had, because of the calendar business and the trading card business and all the TV, we had all this content. Content is king. When you own content, you can do a lot with that content. And I'm someone who I will try. It's kind of like the movie business. The movie business starts out, usually they'll create a feature film that goes in the theaters. They make X amount of money. Then it goes from there to pay-per-view. Then it goes to DVD. Then it goes to regular television. Then it goes to the airplanes. And then it goes to wherever. They repurpose this content and make money on all these different streams. Similar to the music business too. Well, the content business is the same. So we would put these images on calendars. We put the images in the trading cards. We'd use them on TV. We'd use them in the books the coffee table books that we were doing. We licensed them for posters. We did whatever. But one of the things that when everything started going south and we had to lay off a lot of people, I wasn't ready to buckle down, and I didn't know what my next venture would be. As I could see the writing on the wall while I'm doing all this traveling. But I took this content and I said, look, my guys, knowing your customer, my guys are collectors. They want to make sure they have everything in their favorite model or everything that we've ever done. They're a fan of our work. And so I was buying hard drives off of Amazon. I'd go on Amazon and see who has the best deal on like 1 terabyte hard drives. Some of these back then you could get them for like $39. I'd order 50 hard drives off of Amazon at a time at $39 a piece, because it's cheaper to buy off Amazon than it was from a local wholesaler. And they'd send them in. I created a hard drive of all the past photos, all the past videos, all the content we had, and put it on this massive hard drive, all these MOV files and JPEG files of all this content. And I would send out an email to these guys and say, hey, maybe you missed something, or maybe we got some extra pictures of your favorite girl that that were left on the cutting room floor or whatever. Buy this hard drive for $399 and you'll have everything at your disposal. No waiting for long download times, no worrying about you're missing anything. Have a complete collection. That took off. And so this customer list we built from the calendars, that's leveraging a customer list that built from the trading cards and the calendars for this type of buyer. We sold thousands of these things. So that's how I pivoted from, as sales went down, I immediately found another revenue source using the same content and repurposing it in a different way. And that enabled me to continue this travel as everything else started tanking and tanking and tanking. And I would, as one would do well, I had 7 computers in my house. Literally, it'd take 8 hours sometimes to copy one of these. They'd just be copying all night long and then send these things out. But you can see the margins, $39 hard drive, sell it for $399. It's pretty much content's already paid for. It's pure margin. And then I would get creative. I was like, man, okay, we had 1,000 people buy this one. I need to sell another one. How can I sell another one? Well, let's dig around the drawers, dig around the archive, see if we can find something else to add. We ended up coming up with and then I went out to other photographers that I knew and said, hey, would you like us to do this for you? Give us your mailing list. I had one big time guy, had a list of 200,000 people that had bought through his website or whatever. I said, we'll sell these hard drives for you, but I want your mailing list. That's because I'm going to do it straight to your mailing list. He's like, okay, sure. And we gave him a cut, and that was, boom, another bunch of money. So I was able to ride that wave for a while too. And so that's,
what year is this? Sorry, roughly.
This is 2009 to 2013.
Yeah.
And so I was able to ride that wave, and that enabled me to travel. And, I would just say, I would do these promotions. So my friend, the chef, he was down and said, I was like, look, I need to make some money. I got some bills. So I just sent out an email he always said, when I sent out an email, we come back from a snorkel trip. It's like, so what? I'm checking the computer. So how'd that email do? I said, yeah, it made me $12,000 so far in sales. And he was just baffled. He was just like, this sucks, man. I'm like just over here slaving to make $100, and you just made 12 grand or whatever the number was. And so that's how you work smart, and you repurpose content, and that's how you get the money to do what you want to do. But at the same time, because it creates a problem. I've really never talked about this because I've always been able to make money. I'm willing to spend. So, you know, if I've got $20,000 in the bank, some opportunity comes up, a trip or whatever that's going to cost $18. I'm not like, no, I can't do it because I'm only going to have $2,000 left. How am I going to pay rent next month? I'm like, sure, let's do it. I'll spend the 18 grand, knowing that, okay, it kind of it puts pressure on me. It's like, okay, shit, I just spent my rent money, or now I got to regenerate it. So I do the fun thing. I come back and like, what can I do that's creative to actually replace that money? And I'll do a hard drive email, or I'll do something. And so I've been able to do that my whole life. From delivering pizzas, I had cash every day. I never really had to budget. So every day you're getting tips, you know, every day in selling the counters, there's money coming in the mail every day. And, you know, the first time I actually had to go to work waiting to get paid was when we were doing the pay-per-view television. There was a 3-month lag. You know, but that was the first time, but those were nice checks. You know, it's nice when you get $100,000 payment all in one swoop. And so that kind of gave me some of the planning I needed for the Amazon business. But I'm lucky in the Amazon business. I don't wait 2 weeks either. I have daily withdrawals. I have an old Amazon account, so
have you got better with this? Because obviously part of your story is that you were leveraging payroll for cash flow.
Yeah, no, I am better. Yes.
Yeah, but, and then you've got to that stage where you go away. You got 20K sitting there as an example, arbitrary number. You tap 18 of that because you know you're good at making money. So we're getting to that stage now. We're getting towards Amazon. It's been a nice flow to get there. So let's talk about Amazon because it is a cash flow business.
Yeah, Amazon is a cash flow business, and when I first started, you know, I came into it with more money than the average person. I took some of my own money, but I wanted to do a little bit differently. You know, everybody back in, I was selling on Amazon in 2001. I was, you know, doing arbitrage stuff, and I tried some different things. But the FBA model, which is what most people think of, what our audience thinks of, I started in May of 2015. And my first product went live in August of 2015. And when I came into it, the way I you know, the other businesses were going down. The hard drives, like, I can't come up with another idea for a hard drive. Shit, what am I going to do? I got a real estate license because that still is a kind of a freedom business. You don't have to work for a man. I was like, I don't know if I want to do real estate. I dabbled in a couple other things. And then around that time, I stumbled across a video for ASM. And they were doing one of their promotions for, like, it's a 4-video series where, you know, you watch 4 different videos and the last one pitches you into the course. So I watched those 4 videos, and then they pitched the course was, I don't know, $5,000 or something like that. And I'm, the heck with this. I'm not paying $5,000 for that. I don't need that. What they just showed me, because usually in these videos, you want to give away enough, you know, that makes people feel that they got some value. And I saw what the process was. I'm like, shit, I've been doing this my whole fucking, I've been doing it.
It's fine. Like, you can swear. It's fine.
I was like, shit, I've been doing this my whole life. I don't need their course. I've been doing calendars, you know, and going to shows, sourcing things. I've been creating my own graphics in Photoshop and Quark and making catalogs, and I know package inserts, and I know shipping, and I know marketing, I know direct mail, I know all this, the cash flow, I know it all. So as my mom says, it's almost like a perfect fit of all my past experiences all into one. And Amazon's like the perfect, it's almost like the stars were aligning. This is like the perfect thing for you to go into. So I didn't take any courses. You know, I consumed every podcast I could at the time. There's only 3 or 4 of them back then, probably. I consumed them and I read a bunch of blogs, read some Facebook stuff, saw some of the guys on Facebook saying what to do, didn't know what the hell they're talking about, and misleading people. And there wasn't a ton of courses. I think it's ASM, maybe 3 or 4 others. It wasn't like 1,000 of them that there are now. And so I started with my money, and I got a silent investor. And because what I did is I started with 5 brands. I was like, they always tell you start with 1, do 1, don't go in too deep, learn the system. I was like, no, I want to start with 5. So I started with 5, and 2 of those were custom from the ground up. Because of my background in developing products, high-end collectibles in the trading card business. We did all kinds of fancy stuff. And I have experience with that. So I developed two products. One's a slow feed dog bowl that was in the shape of a bone. And another one was an Apple Watch charging dock. And I went on right in 2015. Back then I didn't know the difference. I was looked at the top 100 best sellers because that's what ASM said in their little video. So I looked in there and I saw that there's like 5 or 6 Apple Watch docks because the Apple Watch, I think, was about to come out. The first one, I think, around time. And they were all garbage. They're all like bamboo or just junk. I was like, I want an Apple Watch. I have Apple products. I wouldn't want that sitting on my desk. That's just freaking ugly. And so I'm like, I'm gonna develop what I would want. So I went and found a manufacturer off of Global Sources that for $1,000, they would do all the CAD work for me and give me $1,000 credit towards my first order. It was an MOQ of 3,000 units. I developed a Apple Watch dock that had a built-in charger. It had a built-in nightlight. It would charge 4 different devices at once: your watch, your phone, your iPad, and Samsung if you want. A second generation of it had a built-in Bluetooth speaker. It hit all the cables, so there's no cables hanging all over your desk or whatever. It hit everything in the bottom, and I had them develop that. Make me do all the CAD work. Send me STD files. I would take those STD files to a local guy here in Austin. He would make 3D prints of it. I would take those 3D prints and make sure the cables would fit in the little grooves, make sure the wrappings was all right, take them to the Apple store and say, please, can you open the drawer with all the watches? I want to take every watch band and make sure it doesn't, when it's hanging on here, it doesn't touch the light. And then I would make some changes. They made the product. Well, my landing cost on those was around $20. And I was selling for $89. Christmas 2015, I was doing $15,000 to $20,000 a day selling that one item. And I had other items up too. It was doing really well, but that created a cash flow problem. And because it's a $20 landing cost and I'm selling 150 to 200 of these a day, that's an inventory cost, that's upwards of $10,000 a day just in straight up inventory cost. And I was like, holy cow, this is just doing well. What do I do? I need 5,000 more, 10,000 more, whatever. I don't have the money. I call the factory. I'd only placed one order with the factory. They're not going to give me much better terms. They still want their 30%, 70%. So I'm like, man, what do I do? My investor, she put in all the money she had to help get it going. So back then there was no good lending options. You go to the bank, they laugh at you. Like, how this isn't possible. You're sitting in your underwear at your house making this kind of money. This doesn't work. They don't understand it. And there wasn't all these options there. There's Cabbage and a few of those guys, but they were like, you haven't been in business long enough. You've only been selling on Amazon 6 months. We'll give you 10 grand. I'm like, yeah, that's good for one day of sales or whatever. So I had to go to MCA lenders. It stands for Merchant Cash Advance. And Merchant Cash Advance are typically for normal businesses that have credit card processing. And what they basically do is they will advance you money on your credit card processing. So if you show them like, hey, I'm running $2,000 of MasterCard Visa per day, they say, okay, we'll give you, the next, 4 months worth of MasterCard and Visa transaction up front, but you're going to pay us back out of your future receipts. And they charge ridiculous rates. They don't call them interest rates, they call them factors. But so in my case, I didn't have the credit card processing, but they will give you the money. It's not actually a loan. It's actually, we're purchasing future revenue. The way it's written up, it's very sneaky. And in the state of, most of these come out of the state of New York because there's a very friendly court in New York that will protect them. But before they give you the money, they'll give you the money in 24 hours, usually. They just look at 3 months worth of bank statements, look at your history. And so in my case, they saw what I was doing. They said, okay, we'll give you 100 G's. So I could buy, the next batch. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take the 100,000. But they're like, oh, by the way, there's an underwriting fee. There's an ACH bank setup fee. We're only going to put $92,000 in your account. I'm like, whatever, I need the money. I got to keep this thing going. I'm making so much money. I did the math. I said, okay, this is going to cost me this loan with the interest rates because I had to pay back about 140. So they're giving me 92. I got to pay back 140. It's ridiculous. And I got to pay that back in 75 days.
Jeez.
Because they give me the money on a Thursday. On Friday, they start taking daily withdrawals from my account for $2,000 a day. And they're going to take that for the next 75 business days, including holidays. So if it's a holiday, they're going to take a double on the next business day. And so every single day, So I'm like, that's fine. I did the math. It's going to cost me an extra. The interest is, I forget the exact number off the top of my head, but $4 or $5. My landing cost is 20. I had to pay $18,000 to air freight these over, so that bumped the cost. Another $3 on these next run, plus their $4, so it's $30 cost. I'm in at 89. I'm selling these for $89. No problem. I have the margin to do it, and so I did it. Well, everything went great. The factory, they sent me photos of the workers sleeping in cots next to the production line. They work 24/7. They air freight these over. Right when I ran out of stock on Amazon, I had the next batch going in. It worked out perfectly. And so into January, I was still cleaning house on page one. And if you have brand analytics, you know that these kinds of things these days are at the top, just doing really, really well. And then in January of 2016, someone posted on one of the Facebook groups, said, hey, Amazon misplaces merchandise. They sometimes, you send in stuff and you say you send 1,000, but they say they only got 990. Or people return stuff and things get damaged. They don't always pay you. Here's how you download these spreadsheets and you can reconcile them and you can make a report to Amazon. This is before like Helium 10 had their tool that does it, and these other services that charge a fee and stuff do it. This is before all those guys existed. So I downloaded this stuff and did this process. A couple of my products, boom, $1,800, $1,000. I'm like, awesome. I did it on my Apple Watchdog. It was a case where I'd sent in like 1,000. They said they got 990. It's 10 missing. Next day, my listing suspended. And I'm like, what the heck? Why is the listing suspended? I call up Amazon. They say, we're doing a bin check. I'm like, what the heck is a bin check? Like, well, we got to go to like 2 different warehouses and do an inventory check and like do this reconciliation. So we have to stop the sales while we do this. I'm like, I was like, the heck with that. Just forget about these 10, cancel the claim.
You can like, swear, no. Kevin, don't worry. If you want to say to fuck with that, that's absolutely fine as well. Yeah, go on.
So I was like, fuck that. Just give me just forget about these 10. Put the listing back up. It's doing, crazy numbers every day. And they said, we can't. It's already in process. We got to wait for this. One warehouse checked it quickly. This other warehouse hadn't checked it. I was down a few weeks. And back then I didn't know the close of the listing. I didn't know all the tricks and things I know today. But I literally went from page one to like no man's land, because there's all these other competitors coming in. In the meantime, I'm having to pay $2,000 a day to, I call it the mafia, because one thing I didn't say earlier is before they give you the money, before they wired $92,000 to my account, they make you sign a judgment. So they actually make you sign it's called a COJ, a certificate of judgment. And this certificate of judgment basically says, I'm defaulting on this loan. You have to get it notarized. You have to send it to them by FedEx overnight. So they have an original copy. That way, if you don't pay or you close your bank account or something, they basically have you admitting that you didn't pay. They can take that document straight to the courthouse in New York, file it immediately without having to file lawsuits or anything, immediately get a judgment on you, and then go attach it to your bank account or to whatever they want to do. So they have
it blocks your account from trading, yeah?
Extreme leverage. They go after your PayPal, they go after your Stripe, they go after if they know that you sell on Amazon, they do it to they freeze your Amazon account. They freeze any bank account that has a branch in New York. All the big banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo. It's easy for them to walk in and do it. They look around where you live. If you live in Texas, and they do like a 20-mile radius, and they hit every bank within a 20-mile radius. They send this form. It's like they're just fishing. Find out, they're serious. I call them mafia loans. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to pay $2,000 a day and cover this off of my other products. So, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, keeping everything going. And I get the product back up. Sales are dead. Not 15,000 a day anymore. Now it's 3,000 a day, 2,000 a day, whatever. Luckily, I have the daily payments. That saved me because I'm having money coming in every day. Eventually, this product, this was in January. I got it back up. Got top of page 2. Got the sales back up to 5,000-6,000 a day, and then I get hit in March with the listing is suspended again.
This is in 2016, yeah. So
16.
January 16, and now you're in March, yeah.
Yeah, listing gets suspended again in March of 16 because I had a little graphic on the main image. I was supposed to have a little graphic. It said like voted best watchdog or something like that. A little like first place graphic. So I was like, okay, I just fixed that, got it back up. I was down, I thought you had to do a whole POA and all kinds of stuff back then. It turns out all you got to do is just answer a couple questions. It's back up in 15 minutes. I didn't know that then, and replace the image. So I was down a couple of days. That hurt me, but it took me until October of 16 to actually get it back up, to actually get through the rest of that inventory. And by then, the market had completely changed, and I just had to like throw in the towel on that product. And so that was a big learning curve, and lesson, and how intensive the cash, how intensive cash, how much cash you really need in this business if you're successful,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's a lot of factors out there that are out of your control.
Yeah.
And you always have a huge amount of risk. So it completely changed the way I source products, completely changed my risk model. Now, some people say, this is a perfect example why you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket on Amazon. You should be selling in Walmart and everywhere else. And I still disagree with that. You know, I sell in Walmart and eBay. It's a joke compared to what Amazon can do. And so I don't even focus on those anymore. I quit focusing on my Shopify. I have a Shopify site. People can go there and buy stuff. I have stuff on Walmart, but it's so small. And the time it takes to try to go build that, I can go spend a bunch of time trying to build my Walmart site up, and maybe I'll get
products out on Amazon. And
I can get out. I can maybe get it up to 5% or 10. Maybe if I'm lucky, 10% of my business. If I put that same effort into Amazon, despite the risks, I can grow it way more. Or go into another market.
Is coming not from, you got the Amazon business, and then you got your courses, your education, all that kind of stuff. So when we're talking about diversification, some people misconstrue diversification of being you sell on, like you said, Jet, Walmart, that kind of thing, and on your Shopify. I've watched people burn lots of money on their Shopify stock because they've got suspended for being a bit naughty. Then they've gone, fuck you, Amazon. I'm going to Shopify, blow 100 grand. It just didn't work out for them. And then they take their eye off the ball of Amazon. The sales have gone down. Then they've gone back to Amazon to build it back up again. But I suppose the bit you're going to get to is that the diversification should become your revenue streams from different types of business. Even if they're related to Amazon, there's selling on Amazon, and then there's these other businesses as well.
That's why you have some of the, that's why some people say, hey, your good friend Leron or something, if you're so successful selling on Amazon, why the hell are you teaching? Or why the hell do you have a software company? Or what? It's diversification in different areas that one's not going to affect the other. And so you're right. Like I said earlier, I have 6 different sources. I have 2 different course things that I do: Freedom Ticket for new people and the Helium 10 Elite for advanced. I have the $1 Billion Seller Summit, which is for 7-figure sellers and up. It's a high ticket event that I do twice a year. And then I have the calendar business, which is that's a healthy, it's not a 7-figure business. It's close to it, but it's healthy margins. If the average person could definitely live off of just that, if they wanted to. Then I have the Kevin and Steve, and then I have this other two other, my own Amazon business, and another one that I'm building right now. That we're building it from the ground up the proper way. I've learned, through this process, through the people I've met, through speaking at, I also get paid to speak at events. I've made more than what most people would make in a year just in speaking fees this year to speak at events.
Yeah, you do.
And so I'm one of the only people I think that actually gets paid to speak at events, and so in the space. And so I've been able to leverage that, through those connections and through all these things. And through all these experiences, I now know that my mistakes. And so this one of these companies that's in the process of being built right now, we're doing recycled ocean products made of recycled ocean waste and some other stuff. I've got partners in that. Some people putting in 7-figure, putting in a lot of money into that business. It's a 7-figure line of credits. And I got the best people in the business on the team. We have the best e-commerce legal guy. We have one of the best forecasting guys who helps people sell businesses. We have some of the best sourcing people, and we have this really good team, and it's being built from day one. When I first started my Amazon business, 2015, I had a partner. I wasn't thinking about really selling it. It was just like, hey, this is a great way to make some money and some cash flow. But now we're building this from day one to sell this for $20 to $50 million in 3 to 4 years. And I know exactly what to do. I know all the mistakes, I know all the mistakes that I've made in the past. And so I'll avoid those in this, and we're doing everything to a T right. Is it going to be successful? Who knows? We may not meet our targets, or we may exceed them. But the whole idea is, and it's going to be using Amazon. And because I'm very good at sourcing, and because of differentiation of this product, we have some exclusives. I'm not going to be afraid to go into some competitive markets and compete. Versus if I was just the average guy on the street, I would rule out some of the products we're going to be doing because there's no way to really compete. But we have a strong competitive edge on some stuff that I think with a little bit of positioning will do well. And so that all roads lead to one thing, and the mistakes you make, and dealing with the mafia. But as a result of the mafia loan, I know I've taken probably 20 some odd different types of loans for my Amazon business, including having the investment. I know every in and out of every type of loan, how they work, and how you can use this one to pay that one, or I know all the tricks. And so I'm actually because of that, it's almost like when you want to hire a security person for your computer company, maybe you go and you hire some guy who was a hacker before, because they know all the inside tricks, and you put them on your team. I'm not saying I was a hacker. It's not like that, but because I know all the tricks, I know all the systems, and I'm on the board of directors for a company, not board of directors, the board of advisors for a big company that's about to launch, that's got this very special underwriting program to help Amazon sellers get money when they don't have a year's worth of track record. They got this really cool algorithm that can take a look at as little as 3 months of worth of selling on Amazon, and they can predict with about 99 point something accuracy if this guy can pay back a loan or not. Or I don't know how they're doing it. It's very sophisticated. But I'm shooting holes in their theories, and they're like, what about this and what about this? I'm like, no, you need to think about this. What if the guy does this to you? What if he does this? And they're like, oh shit, we need to change a few things. And so, that could turn into something for, a little bit of extra pocket change down the road too. So one thing opens another door, and all these experiences are all leading to one big thing that maybe 3 or 4 years from now, if we're able to build this one up and I'm able to cash out, I'll have 8 figures, in my pocket. And along the way, I've been able to do what I want, have the freedom that I want, and enjoy the process the whole way.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So where do you think the whole Amazon community thing is going today? I mean, I still believe that we're on the ground floor, in terms of the possibilities of growth. I'm sure that there are going to be other trends that won't just be Amazon in the future, but what's your prediction? Give me your crystal ball analysis. Where can you see things going over the next 2 years or so?
Well, I think Amazon right now is, people always say, hey, I missed that boat. Is that ship sailed? Or what's the next shiny object? And I say the shiny object is still Amazon. There's nothing better right now than selling on Amazon. It still is the best opportunity to gain leverage and to grow a business. You got $1 billion of people of funding out there looking to buy Amazon products or businesses. You have the opportunity is immense. Amazon's doubled in sales since 2016, and it's continuing to double. Even if they get broken up, the antitrust or something, they're still doubling. They're going into additional markets, the UAE, Turkey, and all these additional markets. It's just going to keep expanding. And so I think it's a real business now. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's not a passive income like some people try to make it out to be.
I'm going to say, can we talk about it? I've just done a show with Michael Hartman about passive income, and we're kind of talking about the bullshit that goes on in our community. I mean, it's a lot better now. I mean, my take on stuff is I try and do my best to bury that crap with what I believe to be higher quality content to give people more choice rather than going after those people and attacking them. My thing is like, let's just keep getting as best content out as possible to advise people in a different way. I mean, what's your take on things what you see unfold? I mean, you've got courses, so that area can be quite fierce, but like you're like a no nonsense Texan. That's what I like about you.
Yeah, that's why I originally did the Helium 10 Elite. It used to be called Illuminati Mastermind, and it got changed in February of 2019 to Helium 10 Elite, and kind of rolled into Helium 10's package, where now they get software and stuff. But I did that with them because it's the high level stuff, and you got to meet other high level people. I mean, it's doing a podcast, you get to network. You get inside knowledge, and you get to become friends and network with people that you otherwise might not have ever met.
That's true.
And you learn a lot yourself that you can apply in your own business. And so I did that. The Freedom Ticket, which is for the new people, I was never planning to do that. But in 2017, I was getting frustrated with all the misinformation on Facebook, someone saying, hey, when you're about to run out of stock, be sure to raise your price. And 10 other people after them would say, yeah, that's the best thing to do, raise your price. I'm like, you freaking idiots. Or someone would say, never send traffic to Amazon without a landing page. You hurt your conversion rate. I'm like, bunch more stupid idiots. And just all this stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put out a course just to sum this up. And so that's where the Freedom Ticket came. I enjoy helping other people. Everybody needs a hand. Everybody needs a little bit of assistance. And there's so many people being misled. I think it's just wrong. You got all the Lamborghini guys and the people who have courses or YouTube videos that sold $10,000 on Amazon in their life, and now they have a video or a course and act like they know everything. They don't know squat. Most of the courses are very shallow. They don't really go into detail. So I created the Freedom Ticket to go into detail. It goes into, it's not a cookie cutter. Find a product that weighs this much and is under this price and this BSR and can air freight. It's none of that. It's teach you how to think for yourself. And the Freedom Ticket is very, very detailed. I have a lot of people that take it, that have taken ASM or they've taken other courses. And I'm not saying ASM is bad. It's not a bad course, but they say that it leaves stuff out. Mine fills in all the gaps, and they feel a lot more confident and comfortable in doing this after taking the Freedom Ticket. And that's what I want to see, is because so many people will just go course to course, or they try this and because they took the wrong course, they listen to the wrong YouTube video, they fail. They don't do their cash flow. None of these courses, zero, except for mine that I'm aware of, shows you how to do a cash flow spreadsheet properly and how to pick products properly. They show you how to go use Jungle Scout or X-Ray or whatever, but they don't show you how to properly do it. And so many people fail and say this business doesn't work, and they're just wrong. They're not doing it right. And if you do it right, you have a great chance of success. And for some people, that may mean it takes a little bit longer to build to where your goal is. You shouldn't be quitting your job next week. It may take a year or two before you quit your job, or you might never quit your job. But the opportunities are huge. But you got to know how to do this and treat it like a business. And I have that experience because of my background, as you can see, that most people teaching don't have. They're young 22-year-old, 23-year-old kids, or that don't have those experiences. Or there's someone that was right place, right time in 2013 that has a course that they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They were right place, right time, and they're misleading people big time.
Do you think that's as well because they didn't have that diversification? So they had their hit products back then. They had a nice, easy run at it, and so they've only got one look. They've not failed with a product. They've never had diversification.
Yes.
Different types of products. Not seen lots of different accounts.
I think that's part of it. And so it's frustrating, all this misinformation, all this. Is it passive for some people? Sure, there may be a few people out there that they're happy making $50,000 or $100,000 a year. They got 3 products that are they got them launched, and they're just taking it easy, and they're happy making $20,000 a year profit. But I can tell you, all products have a life cycle. That passiveness is not going to last. In 2013, it might have lasted for a couple of years. And you see a lot of these people back in 2013, 2014 got started when it was easy. They were right place, right time, or things that worked back then. You're able to do a lot more things you can't do now that it gets terms of service and stuff. They're failing on everything else they launch because they don't know the fundamentals. They don't know the basics. I see some of them coming back to courses like mine, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've done $2 million a year in sales, and I really don't know I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. There's a really good book by Cindy, I think it's Thomason, called Profit First for E-commerce. There's a book called Profit First that came out in 2014, and she took it. It's just a quick read. I read it on an airplane on a 3-hour flight to LA for e-commerce. And it's very, very smart, and I recommend everybody go out and check that book out. In fact, we just re-recorded the entire Freedom Ticket course. Version 2.0 is coming out in October, and this book is in there along with some of the spreadsheets she has. It can make a huge difference even for new sellers and experienced sellers. And talking with her, she even says, look, I get guys doing $5 million a year that don't know what they're doing. They have cash flow, but they don't have profits, and they don't know what they're doing. Some of these guys don't have 2 nickels to rub together. They're doing that kind of money. So there's so many people doing this wrong, and that's frustrating. And so if I can help people set them straight, and guide them to be more successful, I enjoy doing that. Do I make a little bit of money in diversification? Sure. But where the industry's going, I think it's only going to get better. And I think there's going to be a lot of changes, more oriented towards the brand registry type of stuff. And Amazon's going to open up. I think they're going to start sharing more information with us. I think some of the software, you may see a consolidation, or some of these guys just get weeded out. Because there's like 1,000 different software companies. The course people, they're going to be popping up all the time. Most of these guys are selling these courses, they've sold 10 of them or 20 of them. They haven't sold very many. They're running Facebook ads. It's difficult. Even I'm well known. It's difficult to run a Facebook ad, actually make money on it, selling a course. There's a couple of people that are really good at it, but usually their course is not very good. I see that continuing. I see more and more people still jumping into it, still more information. Amazon's just going to continue to grow. I see it as a great opportunity. I think you're going to see some major disruptions in this business, and something that's going to be happening later this year may completely disrupt the course business. We'll have to wait and see. Some things I know that are on the horizon. So there's going to be some major changes. I mean, that's the one thing about Amazon, is it constantly changes, and it's probably changed more in the last year than it has in the previous 4 years. I mean,
definitely. Even on the sponsored product side, like the suite of tools you have now compared to 18 months ago, it's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, everything. I mean, with the brand analytics and the demographic stuff they're providing, and that they're having to do some of that because Amazon's getting in trouble. Like it started in Germany and now California, but they're getting in trouble for using our data as third-party sellers to find what products they should sell, and some other things that they're doing, and they're getting called out on that. So they're having to open it up more and share more with us. And as that continues, you're not going to need to buy reports from Black Hat people. But the Black Hat is a problem. I talk about that in the Freedom Ticket 2.0. There's an entire module talking about the Chinese. It's mostly Chinese. There is some Eastern Europe, and some Americans do it too. But the primarily Chinese problem, and I talk about that, and I don't think that's going away. Amazon can close some loopholes, but they'll find another one, and they'll find another one. You can't build your business on hacks and beating the system. You got to build a strong core business with a really good product and really good marketing and really good customer service and a true business. And there's nothing better than Amazon to do that. Even with my calendar business, one of the things that I'm worried about is Amazon as they take over more marketplace taxes. I don't know what the nut count is right now, 15 or 20 states, Amazon's actually collecting the tax in marketplaces. I think that's going to probably expand to all 45 or however many, plus whatever the number is, all states in the U.S. Eventually, maybe even by the end of this year, that's going to happen. When that happens, Amazon, I think, is going to shut the door on giving us some of the customer data. They have to now, but my biggest fear is they're going to shut that door. And so you're going to have to get more creative with your product inserts and your stuff to try to capture some of those customers and stay within the terms of service while doing it. But right now, because we can download that data, it's super valuable. If you haven't downloaded that data, you need to go do it. I think you can go back a year and a half. You got to do a month at a time. But you need to go download that data, because like even my calendar business, every year I sell 5,000 or 10,000 calendars through Amazon, say 10,000 units of calendar. That's 10,000 potential customers that I can send my other catalog to or cross sell. It's a super valuable lead magnet. And I don't think that's going to change.
So what you're talking about, all orders, the orders doing 30-day cycles to download, because obviously software is no longer allowed to display that. Like I know through, I use Seller Legend, and they've got it clearly written in there. You're not able to have customer data. So what you're saying is, if you take all orders report last 30 days and just keep going back in 30-day increments.
Yeah, it's your full fulfillment reports. You can get that as of now, but I think that's going to shut off. That's valuable data to have for custom audiences, valuable data to have for all kinds of things. That's one of the biggest assets. Your mailing list is one of the biggest assets you have in business, because just look at the list. I mean, take my calendar business is a perfect example. Because I had a list of customers from trading cards, I could leverage that into calendars. I could leverage that into DVDs. I could leverage that into hard drives. Because I had that data, I could cross-sell to them. And that's a mistake a lot of Amazon sellers make right now, is they know how to put a product on Amazon, but they don't know
repurposing.
they're not repurposing, and they don't know how to go back to those people go back to the well a second, third time. It's a lot easier to sell a previous customer than it is to sell a new one.
Yeah.
And so many people just focus on those new ones, and they forget that there's a lot of money in the well. And my calendar thing example is a perfect example. I was able to milk that.
Yeah.
I'm providing value. I'm not ripping people off. I'm providing value in what they want, but really knowing your customer and knowing what they want and cross-selling them is super valuable. It may not be your product. It may be, if you're selling spatulas on Amazon, maybe you shouldn't be trying to think of what's my second product going to be for these spatula people. Maybe you should find a product on Amazon, and on your blog or on your website or your emails or even in your package inserts, you could cross promote someone else's as an affiliate. And you like this spatula, you might also like this set of serving spoons or whatever, and see how many people actually go for that through an affiliate link, and then you could launch a product in the future. There's all kinds of things you can do.
And do you still focus on, like, back on the Amazon products, like consumable products? Because obviously you talked about going back to the well, with subscribe and save and stuff. That's also a good advantage that, you're selling it once to the same customer and getting repeat customers. I know it's normally a smaller percentage. That's always an advantage as well.
Yes, consumables are the best type of product you can have because of that repeat business. But so like in this new business I'm doing with recycles, we're doing a lot of consumable stuff.
Yeah.
It's not all consumables, but quite a bit of it is because for that exact reason. You can spend a little bit more or take a hit on the first sale, in PPC cost or whatever, knowing that they're a certain percentage of them are going to keep coming back over and over, and you'll make your money on order number 2 or number 3 down the road.
So you're calculating on long-term value of a customer is sometimes,
LTV, it can be it's something a lot of people don't even know how to calculate. And so those are important things too, but that means it takes money. That means it's a real business. It's not a start with $500 and you're going to be sitting on the beach, 2 months from now.
Yeah.
That so many people paint this. And even, there's one of the biggest software companies out there, not Helium 10, but it's one of the big 3. And they recently released a tool, a brand new tool. And they had, I missed the little webinar announcing this tool. And one of the top people in the company was actually on YouTube. I went to YouTube to see if I could find a replay of it. And I didn't find the replay, but I found some other supporting videos that they had made. Only had 50 or 100 views yet. But on that video, they're talking about how to calculate your ACost. And this is someone pretty high up in the company talking about how to calculate your ACost, and it's completely wrong. And this is one of the big software companies. I'm like, you're leaving out a major expense here and your profit margins. And so I messaged the person and I said, hey, I wanted to point this out to you. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And these are people that don't sell on Amazon that are doing that. So you got to be careful. There's so much misinformation, so much wrong stuff, and it's frustrating to me that so many people get misled, and you're messing with people's livelihoods and their money. But back on the Chinese problem, that's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. So there's certain products you should start considering that are outside of what most of those guys go, and that's where you should really go. As Amazon closes loopholes, another one's going to pop open. It's a cultural thing. It's not going to shift. So that, I think, is the biggest obstacle going to be for a lot of sellers. They're going to get caught up in that web. They're going to launch something that gets caught up in that web where they're just going to get knocked out really quick. So that's where it's truly important to differentiate patents, licenses, make sure you're copywriting your packaging. I mean, that's one of the best ways right now, actually, that you could actually get someone off your listing is if you don't have a trademark, you're waiting for brand registry, or you don't have a patent, create unique packaging, not some plastic bag with a label on, but I create unique boxes, 4-color boxes on all my products. And then I copyright that. And it's $40 and you get it back really quick. It's no 9-month wait. Send it in, copyright that. And then when someone actually jumps on my listing as a counterfeiter or as a hijacker or whatever, if they're knocking off my product, I can actually file what's called a DMCA, digital 1998, using that copyright. And by law, Amazon has to take them down. And so if you come in and you do that, that's good ammunition to fight against that. I mean, it's all these little things that most people don't talk about or don't teach or don't know is what I try to help people out with, like in the Freedom Ticket.
Yeah, makes sense. Is there anything, as we wrap here, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
I just want to say that you're doing a great job. I mean, you're out there hustling, doing 3 or 4 of these every single week, putting out really good value. It's straight to the point. There's a lot of people that have podcasts and it's just a bunch of fluff. But I know that every time I listen to a Seller Sessions podcast, there's going to be some value. You get good people that know, for the most part, there's people that actually know what they're freaking talking about.
Yeah.
And they're actually doing it. And you don't let them get away with anything. You push them, and if they say something and you're like, wait a second, how does that exactly work? Or you dive a little deeper, like the example we gave earlier. And I think that's really good and really needed out there. There's not a lot of the other podcasters are doing that. They're talking about, here's a great book you should read and what we got from it. Or here's they're interviewing someone and there's no substance to it, or no really hardcore, and you're straight to the point on it.
But so are you. I mean, when I talk to you, it's like you're a different version of me in terms of like I think the reason why people possibly like the show is I'm like you. We're impatient and we don't have time to waste. And I respect the audience. So when we're doing, I know this one's probably clocked in an hour and a half, but I believe there's this jam-packed with good information. But generally it's about just getting to the point, because people got to go off and run their businesses. And so hopefully, I do this so I can have people look over my shoulder. If I ask the right questions, they get the benefits, I get the benefits, because I sit here for 90 minutes and get to speak to you and learn about you and learn how you do things. Do you see what I mean? So that I can apply that to my business as well.
Yeah. No, so, so congratulations on a good job and for putting out, what are you at, episode 300, or you're up there right now, right?
I forgot, because normally when we hit the century, I know we bring you in, but we just went past it. And I thought, we're just gone past it. So I'm I don't count anymore. I just for me, I enjoy it. It's in my fabric. We just get the content out there. I worked out the other day, it cost me about 10 grand a year to put out 150 podcasts a year. But I enjoy it. Like you have this is my hobby as well. Does that make sense? It's like some people into cars and that. I like talking to people. And so I'm having fun now, sitting there chatting to you. 7:25 UK in the evening. I've been going since 4:30, 5, 6 o'clock or whatever it is this morning. But I enjoy it and people get benefit from it. So everyone wins. So.
Yeah, so keep it up. Keep doing that. You're doing a great job, and I really appreciate it. I listen to almost every one of them, because you never know what you're going to learn and what you're going to hear.
Cool. And so parting gifts from you, what we got coming up? You speaking work, the courses, 2.0 you mentioned. Do you want to give us a rundown?
Yeah, sure. There's a brand new version of the Freedom Ticket coming out in October. It's completely I update it regularly. So, it was first came out 2 years ago. So if there's a big change and we go in there and we update the module, but, it doesn't always cohesively fit, it's a different, and if it's a really small change, we might not fix it, but we've completely redone it from scratch. It was 60 modules in 22 hours originally. Now it's 85 modules in 38 hours of actual content. So it's a full on college MBA type of course. And we're doing some things with that I think everybody's going to appreciate. I can't talk about that right now, but just check in October. And I think it could be a disruptor and really change the whole course of a lot of people's lives and what's happening in the industry. I also have the $1 Billion Seller Summits. The next one's coming November 13th to the 17th. It's in Austin, Texas. That's an event I do twice a year. Last one was in May. It's for high-level sellers. It's not for new people. So if you're not at the high 6 figures or in the 7 or 8 figures, it's not for you. I do bring in, some of the Chinese guys. You need to know what's happening or what they're doing. I'm not saying you should do those techniques or those tactics, but that's your choice if you do that or not. But you need to know at least I've never done a rebate. I've never even given a rebate. I've never had a friend or family review something. I've never done any of that stuff. I have used launch service in the past and done the Facebook stuff, but I haven't done any of those, gray area things and we don't even talk about in the new Freedom Ticket. We don't even talk about rebates. I think rebates are going to be in the current way that they're being done are going to be short-lived. I think they'll always exist because it's a way to beat the system and it works, but them being so publicly acceptable, I think is not going to be around too much longer. So we don't talk about that. The Freedom Ticket is not about hacks. We do some of that in the Helium 10 Elite because people want that, but the Freedom Ticket is core business stuff. But at $1 Billion Seller Summit, it's limited to 50 people. It's a $5,000 ticket, so you need to be an advanced seller. But you can go to BillionDollarSellerSummit.com and see if there's any tickets left. For this one, there'll be another one in July next year. SellerCon, I believe, is doing their event in Austin, July 16th to the 18th of next year. And so from the 19th to the 23rd, I'll have another $1 Billion Seller Summit right after that, so people can make one trip of it. Here in Austin, or you can go to freedomticket.com. Those are probably the two best things. Or if you just want to follow me, you just look up AMZ Marketer on Facebook, and there's a ways to follow me there.
Sounds good. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Guys, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.